Show today begins with the FIFA World Cup. FIFA has backed a study into having the World Cup every 2 years. Gianni Infantino, FIFA president, has said, quote, "We have to go into this study with an open mind. We know about the value of the World Cup. Believe me, we know as well about the impact that the World Cup can have." I wanted to know if you would support a World Cup every 2 years.
Personally, I do not support it. Infantino also said that we will put the sporting element as top priority and not the commercial element. Now, that's very important because obviously hosting a World Cup every 2 years would substantially increase revenues. But this move, I understand that it's just a study, but out of I believe there's 209 member nations that voted in favor to launch this study, and only 22 nations were against. And of course, it's only a study, but a move like this would have a profound impact on world football. So personally, I believe holding a World Cup every 2 years would absolutely ruin the magic of the World Cup. Right now, it is one of the most coveted tournaments because of that long wait time. Fans actually want meaningful matches and events. So I don't understand why even take the chance in devaluing one of the world's best sporting events. So I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it because of also the history of it. You know, there's so many athletes that have a number of World Cup trophies. I haven't heard any athlete really speak out for or against this. And it makes me wonder if certain soccer players just want to add some trophies to their closets. But at the end of the day, I mean, when you look historically, it should be every 4 years if we're really respecting the sport. And I understand the evolution of the sport, but all of a sudden you're going to see players with 10 World Cup trophies, which right now is absolutely unheard of.
Yeah, there will certainly be an inflation of World Cup trophies handed out. And one of the other problems that we haven't even touched on, Hope, is the fact that this is going to make football players' calendars even more congested. This is a problem that the world's top managers have already spoken about. I mean, we've heard Jurgen Klopp, Zinedine Zidane complain about how many matches are in the calendar, and now making the World Cup every 2 years definitely puts the players and injuries at a higher risk.
Of course, it's inconceivable to me. Clubs will have to release players frequently. They already have to release players frequently. It'll be more frequently. There's a lot of other issues at stake. Of course, injury, and you saw this season what it was like. So many games are added to the calendar. I don't know what we're expecting of these players. I mean, these players can only play for a limited time. That's called professional sports. It's called athletics. You know, you have a certain number of years that you can play the game, a certain number of games where your body can really play at its highest level. And when you start adding in a ton of games, you're going to see burnout from players. You're going to see burnout from older players and younger players as well. You really need to find a system that works to see the best quality of football worldwide. Something I found really interesting when looking into these issues is that you got to look at the teams that don't qualify for the World Cup. So, for instance, out of the 54 countries in Africa, only 5 qualify for the World Cup. So what happens to these non-qualifying countries in those 4 years? And that's one of the debates and one of the arguments is how do we develop the rest of the countries who don't qualify? Well, why doesn't FIFA then invest money to the nations and the continents that don't have as many tournaments? I mean, that is called building the game from inside. That is called building the game at a more grassroots level. So if we need so many other countries to play more games, then that's where FIFA can spend its extra money, is to really develop those nations. It's like what we see in women's football. There's not enough tournaments. So they need to go into different countries and to different continents and develop these other tournaments to develop these teams. And the other idea is to just increase the field at the tournament. I'm not sure why we don't expand the field and increase the number of nations that are actually competing in the World Cup.